Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here with my number one favorite Transformer for my top 10 Transformers list. And yes, here it is. My favorite Transformer that I own is Transformers Animated Deluxe Rodimus Prime. So yeah, here we go. Obviously you probably got the kind of thing that I've been doing throughout these things. It's a basically sports car transformer that's quite angular, so of course that's definitely something that appeals to me about this guy. He's an animated figure, which I've definitely praised a lot throughout these reviews, and just with this guy, I think I went for a deluxe over like a bigger class of transformer because primarily, like, I have the most deluxes out of any size class in my collection. I think most Transformers fans do, so it kind of made sense for me to choose my favorite deluxe as my favorite Transformer. And this guy is really good. He obviously came in at the very end of the Transformers animated line, one of the last waves. Bit hard to get, so I definitely went out of my way to get a hold of this guy. But here we go. Let's remove his double bow thing. And here is the car just on its own. It's classic kind of a hot rod Rodimus Prime mode, just really cool sports car, and a kind of maroon. It's not quite just plain red, it's more of a maroon color. Then you've got your kind of a golden orange kind of hot rod kind of a symbol, lots of yellow, black, and then transparent blue as the kind of windshield section, with a giant gold spoiler on the back, and of course your classic kind of Rodimus Prime kind of pipes for the kind of arms sections. It's really cool. Yes, there's a kind of open section at the back, as is kind of the case with a lot of the animated kind of cars. They just left this kind of open space at the back, but it's not as bad as, say, on Blur. But it's still fairly detailed and just rolls quite nicely. It just looks really cool in my opinion. Just you see the engine out over the top, and yeah, it's very nicely done. And of course, this does peg in on the top. Just here you can see the two peg holes, and then on the back of this you can see the two pegs, and you just put it in like so, and they're there. And of course you can fire the missiles if you wish. So that's pretty cool. I always like it when the missile stores some way. But yeah, let's get to transforming this guy. Main thing to do here is, you see on the bottom, the legs are basically along here, so you're going to like tilt them down. And the main place they're actually attached to the rest of the mode is just here. And you just have to separate this panel from this one. So that's definitely the kind of most difficult section. But like once you have that unpegged, you know, it just comes out and the leg comes down, and then you need the same on the other side. And you just bring them down like that. Now, with the legs, you can see the way they're tilted in here. You have this really interesting thing you don't see on many Transformers, where it basically is like a sideways kind of tilt at the knee, and you just kind of like tilt it in there to get it straightened. Then you just move the leg into position like so. It's a pretty unique thing, because obviously what happens is that like that tilt allows the kind of leg to kind of go here and then tilt inwards, so the legs can the feet can go here. So it's really interesting the way that works. And we'll deal more with that in a moment. Next part is to get the arms into position, and the arms are just this whole section here, so you just pull that out, but don't take it out of the ball joint like I just did there. It's not loose or anything like that, I just pulled it out very quickly. So you just pull it out from here and tilt it out to the side. Do the same on the other side, and you have that in position. Then what you do is you tilt at the waist, and then just tilt down, and that's basically the legs in the right position. And the only thing you do to finish the legs is just move these sections up here so they're closer to the thighs. Next, you tilt the arms down like so. And then to finish off the arms, you just basically tilt them out like that. And then the hands tilt out. And you do the same over here. And again, the hands tilt out. Then what you do is you open up the windshield like so, which allows the head to kind of slip through and just tilt down. But while you're doing that, you have to bring basically this bit up, and it's gonna, you can sort of see the little peg there, and there's a kind of a place for it to go there. And just connect that on there, and then connect this here. And that basically locks the shoulders in the correct position. Then all that's left to really transform is just this section. So what you do is you take the Autobot logo, and which is on the other side of the engine piece, and just kind of flip it around. So you have the Autobot logo facing out. Then a really cool thing I always like on a lot of car transformers, wheels just flip in like this, and then you tilt it down into position. So yeah, you just put it down like that, and then you basically, how you lock this in position, because it's flapping around right now, is you just put the windscreen back up, and these two bits will go with these two pegs, and that locks the kind of torso in position. Now the last thing to do is just fix the back. So all you do here is you just get this section, pull it up, flip this bit down, and then you actually have choices there. You can just leave them like you can just leave him like that if you want, and he looks pretty cool. You have the spoiler coming out the back, or you can, if you really want to, you can tilt this down and then tilt the spoiler around and have it like that. And it means like from the front you can't really see it all that much, and then from the back it's lower down. And really it's just a matter of choice. Like I actually quite like it with it up like that, but at the same time maybe you're in a mood where you don't like it like that. But the actual transformation has it like that. So yeah, there he is in robot mode. And you can see from the head sculpt, bringing him closer, look at the light piping. Actually, you can see it really well. The lighting's actually perfect to get the light piping through. But you can see that it's an older looking Rodimus here. The idea in Transformers Animated is that he's not the young guy who kind of comes in to become the Prime after Optimus. Prime is just a rank in Transformers Animated, so multiple characters can have it. And Rodimus is a Prime already, so he's a pretty high ranking military officer with his own separate team. So that's why he's more of a veteran character than Prime is, Optimus Prime is in Animated. So there's a really cool look, you know, with the logo on the front of his kind of vehicle mode, you know, that I pointed out that would usually have the engine, but flipped around. It makes this really cool logo for himself in kind of robot mode on his chest. And yeah, just a really cool color scheme. He obviously, the orange comes out a bit more in this mode, obviously to get the hot rod part of the design across, and it works quite well. There's, you know, maroon, orange, and then little bits of kind of grey throughout. It's a very nice kind of color scheme in my opinion. And just a general like look of this guy. Let me include the legs in frame as well. He just looks really cool. I like the legs on this guy. They just feel like normal legs. Like they feel like normal legs on a kind of human action figure, but with a little bit of armor on them. It doesn't look like huge chunks of car or anything like that. It's just, they're fairly normal looking legs, and that's why Transformers Animated characters come across as kind of so smooth in their designs, because they just kind of give them legs. Forearms are fairly normal. They don't go crazy with the mechanical detailing when they don't need to. But yeah, let's get into articulation. Head is on a ball joint. You can move the head around. You know, you can't move it all. You can't actually move it all the way around. I didn't actually know that. But you can have him look up a bit. Can't really look down too much, but oh, actually you can. I'm discovering all these little things. I suppose I don't really pose this guy with his head too much, but you know, you can get the side-to-side motion you need up and down. So that's pretty cool. Really nice head there. Arm can go all the way around, and because of the transformation joint, you can even kind of move the shoulders kind of inwards like that, and stuff like that. So that's pretty nice. Outwards, again, this side is a little bit loose, I suppose, but you can. His hands don't quite go out 90 degrees. It's about like 60 degrees or so, but still it's quite decent. You can. The elbows are kind of a little bit weird, you know, in that it's kind of like slight hinge, and then there's a kind of ball joint as well. But because there is good wrist articulation here with the ball joint and the twist and the kind of transformation joint here, It means you can basically get all the poses you want out of the arms, so that it works really nicely, even though it's kind of odd series of joints to make it actually work. He does have a waist, which is always very nice to see on a Transformer, so that's really cool. The hips go outwards fully, forwards fully, backwards fully, so that's nice. Knees 90 degrees, exactly what you want. And the ankles here are very nice as well. You know, they're just on a standard ball joint. You can move them feet forward, back, tilt them all the way around, and of course a very nice motion of ankle tilt. So you can get him in some pretty kind of wide poses. So it's the articulation of this guy is excellent. Definitely one of the kind of best in my entire collection. And you know, this, as I said, this is on a deluxe figure, and you can do all that. So that's just really nice to see. But of course, you get the weapon, which is this kind of fireball bow type thing, which is very cool. He's not in the show that much, but he does use it a little bit in the episode you see him in. And yeah, you just put that in his hand like so. He holds it in the middle, and yeah, you can have him pose with it. You know, it's definitely a one-handed weapon. It's kind of difficult to get like too crazy of like archery poses out of him, like trying to pull it back. Just because to me it's less about the articulation not allowing it, and more of just the weapon doesn't really seem designed to be a kind of two-handed type pose. You can sort of get, you know, some sort of an archer pose out of him. Let me just try and fix this. So you can sort of get something like an archery pose out of him. It works. It's just that the weapon doesn't really seem ideal for this sort of thing, because it is kind of like sort of like an energy bow. So like there's no string, and like you don't even know, like, is there a trigger, or does it actually need to be a two-handed weapon? But it works, and as I said, it fires very nicely. But that's that. Definitely this guy, most of the praise I give him is for just the figure itself. For me, the reason it tops my list is because it's just so solid. It's got a vehicle mode that I really like. The robot mode looks great. The transformation, very interesting, just with like how this bit flips around and has the Autobot logo and the engine. It saves him from having just an Autobot logo in like disguise mode, vehicle mode, which is always cool. And just very unique kind of shin joint here to kind of fit everything together nicely in vehicle mode. He has, in terms of articulation, really nice ankle tilts, all the key bits of articulation you want, and he just comes together very nicely. Like, not a lot of kibble. Like, sure, you can say the spoilers kind of kibble, but in this guy it does come across more as just part of his design, that he has this thing on his back. It's really, really good in my opinion, and that's why it just tops my list so much. And it definitely gives you a sense of like what I really want out of a figure. Yeah, like, it doesn't need to be crazy. Like, Ultra Magnus was my second pick, and he does all this crazy stuff. Like, he has all the weapons that come out and flip out and stuff like that, but he was maybe lacking in certain articulation points and stuff like that. The kind of electronic gimmicks kind of worked maybe against him, whereas this guy is just a Transformer and executes everything he needs to perfectly, in my opinion. So definitely highly recommended figure here if you have this one. Definitely a great figure in your collection, and I'd recommend anyone to try and get him. Obviously, he's probably a little bit expensive now, a couple of years after release, and he was one of the harder ones to get anyway when he was first out, but I think it's a brilliant mold. Definitely worth trying to pick up at least. So that's been the end of the top 10 of Transformers list. You know, I don't really see myself doing that many more actual like figure reviews in the future. Of course, you know, if I get something interesting, I'll do some sort of a toy review and stuff like that. But no, I just really wanted to do like just a series of videos focusing on the Transformers in my collection that I really like. I don't buy Transformers that often, so you know, I don't really have the biggest collection in the world. That's why my list was quite specific. You know, it was just Prime, animated, and a couple other random stuff. But yeah, that's in the series. Thanks for watching, and bye.